He sold the dream and we serviced the nightmare.
Welcome to 10 Minute Travels. With me, as always, is Phil Freeman.
And with me, as always, is Shane Patrick. And we are going to talk a little with skier and traveler and longtime Alaskan, Larry Daniels.
Let's get right to it, shall we? And so you you endeavored to get that first lift done. You finished it,
Yep.
right?
We finished a good old chair 3. We got that finished, yeah. And then it was, we were supposed to go back to Washington, and I had decided that I didn't want to go back there, so I had arranged to go to work for, to stay on for at least for the winter. I was going to be a snowcat operator. That was my next big step in the world, and which I did. And but again, it's like there was no lift maintenance, there was no vehicle maintenance, as far as mechanics, so if the chairlift broke down, it was usually me and somebody else, that would, we would have to go change the shiv, or get chair 2 running, or whatever the problem might be. So it was, I'm not sure when I slept, because I usually start, grooming about 4 o'clock in the morning. And, so it was a interesting time. The shop in those days was down where the soccer field is now. And, so we'd drive the cats down Alyeska Avenue, and, to the shop. And, my house at that time was the company house that lived. I was right next door to the, right across the street from where the soccer field is. That my house was called, that company house is still there, although substantially changed over the years, larger and hard to recognize, but it's still there. But I used to park my snowcat right beside my house, and plug it in, so I didn't have to go very far. Start up the cat, and then start up the coffee, and then start up the cat, and then go back and have breakfast before I'd go up the hill. So, yeah, those are the days. So we had a supervisor, a guy named Al Hampton, Big Al, the kiddies' pal, and he'd come up every so often, at certain times of our construction project, to make sure that we weren't getting in too much trouble. And he was the guy that, he was in charge of building the lift at White Pass, where I got my first chairlift construction experience. And he was the original, brought up to do chair 2, the original chair 2. So he was a very fun guy. But this is a story. I have to. Anyway, so. So Big Al was getting ready to leave town, and he was going to go, on vacation. He was going to, he's heading for the airport. In chair 3, they called him up, and, they had some brake problems over this, because this chairlift's brand spanking new, and it's like January or so. So Al goes over there and looks at the chairlift and says, well, here, puts a block underneath one of the, the service brake, and says, well, you guys, can get yourselves going for the, today, for the morning, but call Bob Absher or myself. I can't remember who, but call one of us, which they never did. And, so the long and short of it was the chairlift got filled up, and they stopped it, and then it started coming back, and it ended up with a rollback on the lift. And that's the only one that ever happened at Alyeska. But it's not good to see a chairlift going backwards, I can tell you that.
And that happened because he propped the emergency device open.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, so within, by January, we'd already lost another mountain manager.
You're moving up.
Well, no, they didn't move me up yet. I mean, I did get moved up, but, a couple of years later, but it took me a couple of years to get there, But I did get to be the mountain manager when I was 27. So, still, pretty young guy to be running the mountain at that point in time. But again, the pool was shallow and small, so there wasn't a lot of talent. Wasn't hard to rise to the top because you could reach the bottom. So
I wonder what was that like? What, even not just at 27, but through your career, it's a very public business and
yeah,
everybody's got an opinion,
oh,
you
for
know,
sure.
and just like walking around town and like, hey, Larry, why are you doing this? Or,
Oh, opening day, because opening day was always a cluster, or for a long, long time it was a cluster because, we would just you'd get enough snow and then you would open, and so training and stuff like that was sort of a kind of as you could kind of deal. And so, yeah, so I mean, many times down at the Merc or in the sits afterwards, it was like, I'd get the Monday morning quarterbacks, and I would be sure and tell them that, well, the HR department or, somebody would take your application, if you want my job, go ahead and get it. I guarantee you're not going to like it for very long, so. But it was trying at times, for sure. There were a couple times that I did, sit down at a table in the sits and somebody would start gnawing on me and I just stand back up again, say, see you all later, walk back out. So, yeah, Gary Mashburn, I did that. He did that once to me.
easy to imagine.
Hard to imagine, isn't it? I guess dropping names around here, I expect somewhere along the line that'll get me in trouble. Somebody might hear a story and not remember it the way I do.
So when you got to Alyeska there, you put in the second lift, right? Or it
No,
was
third, chair three.
third. And then how many years did you put in the resort and how many lifts were in there and what was there by the time you left? Like, how did it evolve as a mountain manager?
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, kind of we, well, let's see. So that was 74 on that one. And then in 76, we built the original chair four. And so the base of which is at the same place that chair four is now, but the top of it was up just past the top of the old chair one. 79, we rebuilt chair one, and then put snowmaking in, I think starting in, excuse me, we started putting snowmaking in about 83. The Japanese bought Alyeska in 1980, and then almost the first summer we're back there talking over spring to the guy that owns Cebu and with our wish list of things we need, and we tell him we need a snowmaking system, and the guy looks at Chris von Imhoff, says his name was Yoshiaki Tatsumi, and he looks at Chris and he says, "You mean I bought a ski area in Alaska and I need snowmaking?" Yep, you sure do. So snowmaking in the early 80s. That was wild times too. But and sort of that that motto of I may not know what we're doing, but we're damn proud of it, just continued because we self-performed on almost all that stuff. So so it was like, well, I'd never put a snowmaking system in, but I'm sure we can figure it out, and we did. And Dave Powers, if you know Dave was on that crew, early on, and John Gallup, and I mean, a lot of the local guys, in Girdwood, and that first year we didn't get the pump house finished, so we were, I found an old, gas powered, water pump and had it hooked up to the water at the creek that runs by the business office there. Yeah, I mean, we made snow, not very successfully, but we made some snow and, got the ski area open. And the following summer, we got her finished. Let's see, then in 88, we put chair six in, the first chair six. And, there's the stories just go on about all that. Well, one of the funny things was, the chair six, where it is right now, was just this knife edge ridge. And we picked that spot because you could ski from Silvertip Nose and get there, and you could come down most of the way down the race trail, and it was also just about midway, which is usually the snow line. So it was the perfect spot to, at least in my opinion, to put the chairlift. And I knew we were going to have to move a lot of snow. So we're sitting there, setting up I got the surveyor there, I got the engineer there. This is, like late May, and we're already way behind. And the surveyor, turns to me and says, from this point right here, he says, so this is the uppermost corner of the barn, and the roof is like 15 feet down from this point.
Because of the snow.
No, because of the dirt. It was that steep.
Oh, okay.
So anyhow, it sort of told us that, we got a lot of dirt to move here. So anyway, so 88, we built Chair 6. Then in 89, we built the day lodge, the new day lodge. And then that was, we bought the hotel property and were committed to it, I think, in 86. And we started the road construction in 89. Then 91, I think we started the actual building, and I think we opened it in 94, August 26th of 94. And that, along with that, was all the tramp. So in one way or another, I either directly built or managed all that work, so it was, I think at one point in time, I figured out that I spent about $200 million of the Japanese money to get that place to where it was or is.
Wow.
So it was, they paid a lot for my education, I can tell you that.
And what sort of oversight did they have on you? I mean, obviously there's an ocean in the way. Did they micromanage you? Just let you have at it?
Pretty much. I mean, they were very trusting. I mean, they shipped me to Japan, I think in 83 or 4 for a month. And I got taken all over in Japan, but spent a lot of time at the head office. And, and in the end, I think it was, they said it was for me to get to know Seibu, but I think it was more for them to get to know me. And apparently they decided that, again, the lion's share of the, of the accolades as far as getting that hotel built go to Chris. He was the guy with the vision and the salesmanship. I was the guy, we used to always say that he sold the dream and we serviced the nightmare. So anyway, that was, so anyway, I got to do all that stuff, I guess just because it was the pool was shallow and not very big.
That was Larry Daniels, longtime Alaskan skier and traveler, talking with us. And if you want to learn anything else about 10-minute travels and what we do, go to 10minutetravels.com.
And we want to remind you to make sure that your sense of humor matches your sense of adventure. And please like, subscribe, and share this podcast on all the platforms.